Hi, and welcome to the Knitpicks podcast. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Stacey. As usual, I am the Knitpicks outreach director, and I'm here with my friend Lee, as always. Hi, Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee. I'm the Knitpicks books and patterns graphic designer. Good to be back. We had a little summer hiatus, back for the fall. May or may not be actually cooling off depending on where you're located. It might take a while, but Portland usually doesn't get real chilly until October. Summer kind of goes into September. But definitely thinking ahead, knitting some wool, thinking about the wool season coming up.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we got some, we're back. We got new mics. New mic. Who's this?
Do we sound better? I hope we sound better.
Andy will be happy that I'm sitting down now to record these podcasts, so she doesn't yell at me during the recording. I don't think any of those have shown up in the actual recording, but she
I don't yell at you. I just make frantic hand gestures to sit still, please.
I just had to call her out.
Andy, bunch.
I just had to call out Andy there. Hi, Andy. Andy's back too. We're all back. So, but so it's been a few weeks. I mean, we did the little mini episode back in July for Christmas in July, but we've missed the entire summer of podcasting. So tell me, Lee, what have you been up to?
All right. Well, if you're a listener from this year, you know that I'm very into gardening. So I'm excited for it to be harvesting time. It always takes so long. So many things. It's like all of July. You're like, it's July, it's summer. I should be able to harvest things. And they're just still growing, still working on it. And then finally in that end of summer, even getting into beginning of fall, you're getting to harvest all the things. So tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and all the things. Very exciting. I'm also getting ready to go on a trip. So I have some trip knitting that I've been excited to plan out. It's always fun to plan out a new project.
I know. I'm the same way.
Sometimes it's funner than actually knitting on the projects that you already have on the needles. And I wanted new projects because the projects I have on the needles are like big sweaters, and I want a big sweater taking up a lot of space, trying to keep my packing as light as possible. So I'm taking a pair of socks, and I'm taking a cardigan that's knit in pieces. So it'll be like just the back by itself and the front panels by themselves. And that's going to be in Swish Pops. I'm pretty excited to knit a cardigan in Swish Pops. It's going to be very vibrant.
We'll go into more detail of all the new stuff in our second segment.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later. Is definitely one of them, and we're very excited.
It's not a yarn that most people would knit a garment out of, but
I'm
not most people.
Well, it's a perfect yarn for you to knit a garment out of.
Yeah,
I would knit it striped with a solid, probably, but. Anyway, we'll talk about Swish Pops. Wait.
We're talking about what we're up to. So, unfortunately, I had a finger injury, which resulted from hurrying while chopping vegetables in the kitchen with a knife. So, PSA, everyone, don't hurry. If you're in a hurry to get dinner done, stop for a second, take a breather. Like you're holding a knife. Don't rush.
Don't hurry with sharp knives.
If you're holding a knife, it can take an extra minute. You don't need to hurry. So that was very unfortunate. Trip to the ER and all that, and it affected my knitting for a while. So I didn't get much knitting done for a chunk of the summer there. But I'm excited to get back to it now.
Such sadness.
It's okay. These things happen. I'm very excited about my new projects. What about you?
I was trying to think before we were recording. I was trying to think of what I've been working on this summer. A lot of stuff, I will admit, a lot of stuff is in new yarns that haven't come out yet, or a pattern that hasn't come out yet. So it's like ones I can't really talk about. But I've been enjoying a lot of the new yarns. Again, I will restrain and not talk about right now. But honestly, I'm still working on my Ventisika. I put it down for a while because it was just too heavy. That's my, it's the little vest, from Unparalleled. I love that pattern so much. But, I've been doing a lot of cabled projects. I've been cabling like mad and then I keep losing my cable needles, which I realize as I say that, you're just going to yell at me and say, you should cable without a needle. but
I'm not
I'm
gonna yell at you, but I have to be like, hey, your life might be easier if you would adjust to cabling without a cable needle. But that's your choice.
I may exaggerate when I say that people yell at me sometimes. But yeah, so otherwise I've been sewing. I know you have been too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've traveled a little bit. My mom lives about 2 hours south of here, so I was down there for a long weekend. And again, I was picking projects to bring down there. And then I also flew for the first time, in 3.5 years. I went to Denver for the Our Maker Life event. It was a little conference. I went there with Caitlin and Alexis, and I think there's some images I know that Caitlin posted on the We Crochet site. But yeah, that was really fun. I got to be in Denver, which is a city I'm pretty familiar with. My partner's from Denver. I got to see some friends, but I also got to go to Fancy Tiger Crafts,
Yay. I love that
which
store. I've been
is
there one time. It was great.
yeah.
I loved
I've
it.
been ordering. I've never been inside, but I've been ordering from them for several years, and I really love it. I was looking at their fabric more than anything, and it was funny because one of the ladies came up to me and like commented on the dress I was wearing, which is one I had sewn. It's the Reynolds dress from Helen's Closet. And she's like, "Is that a Reynolds dress?" And I'm like, "It is." And then I ended up buying more fabric for yet another one. So that's my big sewing project I did, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And it's in linen and it is very light and very comfortable. And I just want to live
Nice.
in it all the time. What have you been
Perfect
sewing? I know
summer
you sewed some really
dress.
fun stuff.
Yeah, I got excited about some things I wanted for my upcoming trip. So I sewed a couple of bucket hats, which is really
They're so
fun. It's fun
cute.
choosing, you know, fun patterned fabrics. They're reversible. The pattern is Ray by Seamwork, and it's a reversible pattern, so you can have one side be a solid color and the other side be patterned, and then wear it either way to match your outfit. So that's been really fun. The pattern's pretty quick, so I've sewed 2 already, and I have a third one cut out that I'm gonna
Oh,
hopefully get done before I
awesome.
leave. And then that pattern is actually a double pattern. It's a hat and a belt pack too. So I sewed the belt pack also, um, which I really like a lot. Unfortunately, I think that the space, the amount that it holds, might not be up to my standards because I like having a knitting project with me all the time, and
Yeah.
I think I might have like a tote bag as my everyday bag. But the belt pack is comfortable and it's I like how it looks, so that's fun. And I have a couple of shorts that I'm working on right now to get done for the trip too.
Yeah, I want to finish sewing up some shorts and stuff. And then it'll kind of turn into like not sewing weather, it'll be knitting weather. So I still sew all year round. I still want new clothes. So and it's much quicker to sew something than to knit something for immediate wear. So
True. Yeah, and you're not gonna knit pants, but I like to sew pants. So
yes,
yeah.
I am
Love
addicted
a
to
hand sewn pant paired with a hand knit sweater for
yeah.
winter.
Um but yeah, and then another thing that we both worked on was finishing up the knit along, or some of
Yeah.
us finished.
Oh, so I did the sleeve hack. I mean, the sweater hack. I did the sweater hack, and my sleeves are not yet finished. But
Yeah.
you can see the photo on our social media of everyone's finished except for mine, not quite finished. And also, I wasn't in the office that day, so it's on a
Yeah.
mannequin.
Yep.
But
We used the trick that they did for the crochet along we did on the We Crochet side, where they put my sweater in a mannequin because I was on vacation when they took photos. So we
mhm.
decided to turn around, and Lee is now a mannequin. So
Yep, it worked.
it was fun. But I
But you
really
can see
loved
the
it.
sweater, and it is looking great. I'm really happy with how it's looking, and also, like, I wasn't super motivated to finish the sleeves, like, in the middle of the summer because it's not like I'm gonna wear it for a little
Right.
bit anyway, so I'll finish it up by the time it's time to wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the knit along, in case you are new, was the Ice Fire wrap. You can download it on knitpicks.com. It is a very fun, very large wrap. And speaking of the photo shoot, it was like really hot and being wrapped in this giant, gorgeous wool wrap was not the most fun, but I think it's going to be a great piece for the winter. I think a couple people, I don't remember if this is true or not, but I remember I was saying I'm going to leave it in the office just so I can put it on when it's like chilly in the office, because it tends to get very chilly sometimes.
An office blanket.
Yeah. Yeah, it pretty much is. So, but in case you're wondering, we're going to have another knit along for the fall. We will be announcing that soon. I am very excited about this one. Andy and I went over patterns, and we settled on this one. And I think it's a perfect one for I'd say beyond beginners wanting to try their first project, big project, to advanced for like a great project to wear. So stay tuned.
I'm excited to see everyone's. I always love how well, especially with the Ice Fire, because it has the two different colors, and people really went off outside of the box with choosing different yarns and different colors and all kinds of different stuff. And a is like you're not gonna go so far outside the box. But I'm excited to see all the different
You're giving
colors
too many hints. I did not say what kind of pattern.
Said that. Oh no. Okay, so we might bleep that. We might bleep the descriptor that I included. But it's gonna be awesome to see all the different colors, and I think there's gonna be some different yarns, and it'll be great. I'm sitting this one out because I just have way too many projects on the needle right now, but I love to watch. So it's just thinking of the summer and like everything we missed talking about. The one other thing, we did all see Barbie, in case you were wondering. It was great. We loved it. We dressed up in our handmade pink clothes. Well, I wore a dress that I made that happened to be pink, and then Stacey had a t-shirt that was pink, and it was fantastic.
It was a wonderful experience.
Those are the highlights of the summer.
Yeah. I actually took in the whole Barbenheimer experience. I saw Oppenheimer a week before, so I felt culturally relevant, even though I was 2 weeks behind on Barbie. But in my defense, it was the weekend it came out. I was in Denver, so I missed all the excitement. But it was a very fun movie, and the highlight of the summer, I would say. It was very fun.
Yeah, I think we covered all the summer highlights for you. We're happy to be back on the podcast now for the fall. And we're very excited to tell you everything that we missed talking about that came out while we were on hiatus. So we'll be back in just a moment to cover all that, all the cool new nitpick stuff.
Yay. And we're back. So now is the time we talk about new stuff. And we have a lot of new stuff that either just came out or came out while we were on hiatus, or even releasing the day this podcast goes up. But I think the first thing that we want to talk about, I know Lee does, is our beloved Swish Pops.
Hey, Swish Pops.
Swish
Pops is a DK weight swish, and it's hand-dyed, multicolored, great for planned pooling. I design a lot of the colors. Other designers too. All the graphic designers all design the colors together. It's some colors they might feel a little bit familiar because they're kind of taken from our old Sock Labs color development.
I forgot about that, and I'm like, yeah, that's why they do look familiar.
Yeah. So we would do a lot of color development for Sock Labs, and some of those old ones that never actually got used for Sock Labs, we kind of like repurposed for Swish Pops, and like made some new ones too, all different. A lot of them have like some speckles and some solids all together in the same hank. Some have more colors, some have fewer colors, so there's kind of something for everyone. If you want a multicolored yarn, there's more subdued ones. And because they're all kind of different genres of colors, we named the yarn line Swish Pops, and we named each color after a genre of music, which was a very fun meeting.
It was very fun. We also put together, we have a Spotify account that you can find us. I believe it's just Knitpicks, but we'll link it. And we have a playlist to correspond with them.
Yeah, so if there's a
that was
genre
very
that you're
fun.
not familiar with, you can go find out what it sounds like.
Which I actually did, because there were some of them I hadn't really heard of. And I was like, what is that? Oh, okay. I get that. Also want to make sure, like, let you know, this is a limited release. So, but we have a second round coming out in around about November, I believe. So I am actually more excited for those. And that is simply because of the names, because it's like basically all the Swish Pops that were released in the summertime were like a bunch of different genres of music that I do like, but all the ones that are released in the fall are all the genres of music I love. So I did all of those playlists one day, one weekend when I was bored. I was doing a bunch of different playlists, and then I realized, oh, all of these colors are not out yet. So I'll wait for this playlist for that one, and you could see my style of music taste. But and then you designed a hat to go with it too.
I did. I designed a free pattern for a hat that works perfectly with the way that this yarn pools. So it'll look differently depending on what color you choose, but any of the colors should pool on this hat. It's knit sideways, just flat. The body of it is just a flat rectangle, and there's no short rows or shaping at all, because that's how you get the plan pooling to work, is by having the exact same number of stitches in every single row. Then you get like a repeating pattern, which might look like a big zigzag, or it might look like argyle-y or plaid kind of vibe, depending on the colorway. Depending on your like exact gauge too, it can vary a little bit. But the kind of tips on how to get the pooling are in the pattern. It's free on our blog. It's free on our Instagram, like on the actual Instagram post. It was released as a social media pattern. So you can kind of swipe through the slides of the Instagram post to see the whole pattern. But if you want it like not as images, you can find it on the blog.
And it will be a PDF for those wondering. We just wanted a special thing for our social media followers. So
yeah, so it'll probably around the time that this is coming out or soon after, it will also be a PDF on our website.
The pattern was so popular around the office. I know everyone knit samples for you. I wanted to do it too, but I was gone. So
yeah, it was really fun. I knit a sample as I was designing, and then 3 other people in the office all knit samples in different colorways, so you can see on the pattern how it looks in different colors. And if you are planning a plan pooling or applied pooling type project with this yarn, the yarn descriptions on the website get into detail, like more than usual, about the colors, like the lengths and the repeats, and kind of how the colors work on the skein, which can be really helpful. I think especially if you're going to think about doing an applied pooling project where you want like extra small bit of color, or like a very precise length of color for your pattern. We talked about applied pooling in the podcast with Michelle Bernstein in the past, if you want to know about that concept. I think this yarn, it's not the kind of yarn that most people are going to use for just like a sweater, like how I'm using it right now. But I think it's awesome for really bright poppy accessories and those kind of like cool plan pulling, applied pulling type things. So it's like a specific kind of yarn. But yeah.
Yeah, I think in that interview, Michelle, I think we had just told her about Swish Pops, or I'd just sent her because I remember it was like, you can't talk about it in the podcast, Michelle. So
yeah.
And she was very excited. So yeah, Swish Pops. So that's on the site, Swish DK, limited run now, and then another one coming out in November. So next up is my kind of yarn. It is Tweed Fall. Tweed Fall for Stacey, because we have released so many different tweeds. I think most notably, we've released High Desert in a tweed version. And oh my goodness, I love this yarn so much. We were, I don't think you were there that day, Lee, but in the office, we got the yarn, like our samples from the production. And we were all of us were just dying over the colors. They are so gorgeous. And it has that wonderful high desert feel. If you've used high desert, you know that this is a very, very special yarn. It knits up beautifully. It's wonderful to knit with. And it's tweed. And it's in worsted. It's to die for.
We should say, if for anyone who isn't familiar with high desert is our 100% American made wool. So it's the sheep are kind of local to the northwest-ish region of the United States, and it's milled and spun and dyed and everything all in the US. It's
Yeah.
a very squishy, soft
hmm
wool. It's a merino blend of sheep breeds. And I actually knit our game day sweater, which we did knit along last year, in the one bear tweed, because
hmm
we had the high desert in tweed just as the bear. And so
hmm
I did knit the sweater in the tweed, and I loved it. Now I'm very excited for there to be colors beyond the bear.
Yeah. So we have 18 colors. So check them out. They are just beautiful. And not to spoil anything, but I think you'll be seeing a lot of staff projects in high desert tweed coming up. I'm currently knitting something in a high desert tweed. I think a lot of other people will be or will soon be. But another thing that's exciting about this, and this goes along with, we have some brand new high desert colors. I think there's 5 brand new colors, but they are coming in 100-gram hanks. This is something. So if you remember way back when if you've followed the saga of high desert, we had them in 100-gram skeins, and then we switched to 50-gram hanks. But high desert is a great yarn for sweaters, and having 50-gram hanks, like when I knit my game day, it's kind of a pain to weave in all those yarns. So we are doing a little of both now. We'll have 100-gram hanks, which I've always preferred anyway. And they are in 100-gram hanks. And then we'll still have some 50-gram hanks that are great for if you're doing a colorwork sweater, for instance. You don't want to buy an entire 100-gram hank. So, yeah. And the new colors are also gorgeous. I don't mean to keep saying that, but they are some stunning new colors that I'm breathless. So yeah. But yeah, so high desert and high desert tweed. Probably my top picks for yarns that have been released so far. So it's just very exciting.
So yay high desert, and you said tweed fall. What other tweed besides high desert?
So many tweeds, all the tweeds. We have in recent months we have released Brava tweed. Actually, that's not a release. We just released new colors.
Yeah.
And I'm just not going to repeat myself. They're gorgeous. They are really beautiful. Yeah. I'm not a biggest acrylic fan, to be honest, but I do like Brava tweed. It feels really nice and it looks stunning. We have a couple of projects in Brava tweed, including by Lee.
Yeah. So I'm going to second what you just said, because I did design a little pattern set, actually 3 different items and 3 different colors of Brava tweed. So I knit with it quite a bit, and I really enjoyed knitting with it. I know this is kind of condescending to acrylic, but like it didn't feel like acrylic. Acrylic has its place. I've knit Brava before. I've knit acrylic. I crocheted an acrylic blanket out of Brava before, so I do have some experience with it. And it's great. It's a good acrylic. It's totally, if I'm going to use acrylic, I like Brava. I'm going to choose Brava. But the Brava tweed, something about it, it feels like a blend to me. It feels like a wool acrylic blend, or like maybe some cotton in there or something. Like it feels really nice. I really enjoyed knitting with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we, along with your gorgeous pattern, we also have this stunning blanket that Allison Griffith designed called the Docent Afghan. Docent. Yes, I got that correct. It is like this really wonderful modern blocks looking thing that you work in in garter and tarja the entire time. So no pearls there, just
really
knits.
Cool looking.
And it is like, I got the sample in a while ago, and everyone gasped when I like unfurled it, I was showing it off, like I do sometimes. And yeah, it's beautiful. So, and then we have another one that's in Brava tweed, which is the wooded cabin pillow in by Emily Kintai. And it is also stunning. And that's the one thing that people come up to me and are like, "Oh, this is gorgeous. What yarn is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Brava tweed." I'm like, "That's Brava tweed? I totally thought it was high desert or Woda or excuse me, Will of the Andes or whatever. But no, it's Raba, and it is also another stunning cable piece. I'm all about cables. I don't know if you can tell. So yeah,
I can get into a little bit more about my patterns too, because they're also cables. So it's a home deck set. There's a trivet to like set a pot down on the table, a coaster, so a smaller square, and then a mason jar sleeve. So if you want to like drink a hot drink out of a mason jar, not put it in your hand, put the sleeve on it, or like iced tea and not have it be wet, condensation. So it's good for that kind of thing. Or just like having it with flowers on the table and use it as like a base, like to make it pretty. But they're all using the same kind of basket weave cable pattern, but they're constructed in different ways. So like the trivet is knit in the round from the center out with like a sideways border around it. And then the coaster is just knit flat normal. And then the mason jar sleeve is also knit in the round, but different shape obviously than the trivet. Anyway, so they're like 3 different ways of using the same kind of basket weave pattern. So they're all like small projects, but they're like fun and interesting, I think. I mean, I know I designed it. I think it's like a fun like gift set or, Christmas gift set or something, housewarming, that's like interesting and fun to knit, I think.
Yeah. No, I think they would look great in any home, personally. And if you decide not to use Brava Tweed, if Tweed's not your thing, it also looks great in like regular Brava. Just whatever matches your home. I think it's like a great set. It was really fun when you showed me that idea. I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. So yeah. Then we also have Will of the Andes Tweed, because we're not stopping with Tweed. We have 8 new colors. Not a new yarn, obviously, but is a definite favorite. And we got a couple of patterns reknit in that. The Love Tangle Blanket is definitely been a favorite for years and years. And it's always been in the same one in just, I think, regular Wool of the Andes. But we decided to do it in Tweed, and we did it in Mineral Heather because I chose the color. And I happen to like that color a lot. So, and then we did the Diamond Pillow, which was also one by Angela Modulewski, who is a dear friend of mine. But her pattern, it's like a color work pattern. It uses 2 different colors of Wool of the Andes. The original pattern, I think, used color mist. So we decided to change it up a little bit and do some Wool of the Andes Tweed. Also beautiful, also fun. So it's a great little home Tweed set just to get you ready for Tweed fall. And there's more Tweed coming. Spoiler.
Should we try to like hashtag hot
tweed fall?
cool tweed fall or something.
Cool Tweed fall. Okay, yeah, let's get on that.
Okay.
Let's get Isabel, our social media maven, on that to start doing that hashtag. So
yeah.
Yeah, and then other stuff we've got coming out. Just if you're listening to this the day it comes out, you should see on the site Andy and Treasure has made a return.
Yay, I love Andy and Treasure. I'm so happy it's back.
So if you're a fan of Andy and Treasure, you may have noticed that it's been slowly kind of disappearing. Well, there was a reason for that. We decided, after talking to some like designers and amongst ourselves, is that Andy and Treasure is more of a DK weight rather than a sport weight. So we decided to change the designation to be a DK weight. You can still use it in the same patterns you've always used it for.
Yeah, same yarn.
It's the exact same yarn. We just decided to rename it DK. So, and it'll work for DK patterns. It'll work, and I mean, that's the wonderful thing about alpaca is that, especially with a tighter gauge, it actually seems better sometimes. Just, it doesn't get as loosey and kind of stretched out if you're making like a garment or something. So anyway, Andy and Treasure returns, but it's DK now. So better than before. And we got some new colors too, re-released. Well, I think they're all re-released, but they're all beautiful. So,
and I have technically been working on an Indian treasure sweater for about 4.5 years now.
Yep.
Because I keep putting it down for like a year, then picking it back up. And then the problem was when I tried to finish it this last winter, I couldn't find my extra balls of yarn.
Oh,
And I don't
no.
know if I just had fewer than I thought I had or if they really got lost in the house somewhere. But I couldn't finish it because I didn't have the yarn and it wasn't available anymore at that time. But now it is. Now it's available again. So
Yay.
I can finally finish that. And that is, like you were saying, that is a sport weight pattern. And the gauge is like a bit dense on it, but it's
Mhm.
like an all over mesh lace kind of pattern.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's really nice at that denser sport
Mhm.
gauge. I do like the fabric a lot. So I think it works great at a sport gauge or a DK gauge, depending on what the specifics of the stitch pattern are. But I do think that it is, it is more of a DK technically, but it just can kind of work either way.
So we're getting a bit long because we've had a lot of new yarns. So let's go rapid fire, like from some of the other ones.
We're gonna save a couple to talk about on the next podcast too,
Yeah.
because there's just so much after the hiatus. So we might not cover every single yarn that you see on the website, and we'll talk about a few more next time.
Some of the others we have like 13 new colors of Mighty Stitch. Actually, they're really pretty. Like I feel like Mighty Stitch was, and it still is, has super bright colors, but these are much nicer, softer colors for Mighty Stitch. So they are lovely for any project now. We have some new colors of the Andy Superwash. We have 17 new colors of Alpaca Cloud Lace and Fingering Weight. We have a bunch of different colors in gloss, in DK, and in lace.
Wow.
And I'm sure we're forgetting something, but those are the highlights, I would say.
It's a lot of luxury. I like how we have the Brava and the Mighty Stitch and the gloss and the alpaca. It's like all
Mhm.
ends of the spectrum from
Mhm.
luxury to hard wearing, like all,
Yeah.
and whatever you're in the mood for, we got it.
Yeah. And I might want to point out that tweed, we have like a luxury-ish yarn, which is high desert tweed. We have
Mhm.
like a more home and inexpensive one in Brava tweed, and then we have the workhorse one in that's like a real like hard wearing tweed in Wool of the Andes. So
Yeah.
join us in cool tweed fall.
Yes, we will be there. We hope to see you there.
So while we were gone, we released a really changing completely, but we released a really beautiful transitions type collection. If you remember last year, we had a pattern collection called Transitions. These are pieces that are great to wear between, when it's still warm but it's getting a little chilly and like that first crisp
You need a
October
layer.
morning.
Yeah.
I love that morning. But we wanted some pieces with that. So we put together, we called it Nature Walk. And we called it this because this was supposed to be, this is a companion to Botanic. Botanic was more of the flora, and this is more of the fauna. And bees, bugs for Andy is what I put in the notes, because when I was deciding on this collection, and like I was trying to like, what's a good direction to go with, like for lace and for the summer, and she wanted bugs. So bugs for, bugs for Andy.
No one was against it. We all loved it. We're
Yeah.
all like, yes.
No.
Lace bugs. It's great. I mean, personally, I'm a huge fan of bees. So I love that there's 2 different patterns in this book that feature lace bees. It's fantastic.
We got dragonfly. We got all sorts of things. And we have some like flora as well.
Too, yeah.
But it's a really beautiful collection. They're all lacy patterns, but they're in a heavier weight. They're not in lace weight. They're in either fingering or DK. I don't think we have anything other than those two. Oh no, we have some sport weight. So fingering, sport, and DK. They are run different types of yarn. We have Hawthorne, we have Galileo, Gloss DK, whatever you're in the mood for, but kind of like a more luxury bent to them, I would say. Our friend Michelle Lee Bernstein, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago, has her honeybee mine cowl, which is probably my favorite in the collection.
Yeah, I
And it's
really
one of
like
the
that
bee
one too.
ones.
Yeah. It's also it's the kind of like bandana cowl where it kind of looks like a triangle shawl wrapped around your neck, but it's actually a cowl, so it doesn't fall off. It's looks very wearable.
And along with Michelle's pattern, we also have the broadleaf wrap, which is by Claire Slade, another friend of the pod. She is lovely, and the pattern is really wonderful. And we also wanted to show it in kind of a summery weight, which would be Samia. It's like a cotton blend, as well as gloss, which is like a more luxurious wool and warmer one. So that's also like a big favorite. They're all favorites, of course. They're all the patterns are my babies. So
I like how we showed that in the two different yarns that are pretty different from each other because the
Mhm.
two shells do have a really different
Yeah.
look to them, and like how loose the lace, like how open the lace is. So you can see how like, oh, you can knit it more open or more at a slightly heavier weight that'll kind of fill in the holes more and for different looks. Yeah. Which you could do with any lace pattern. It's nice to show it.
Yeah, I loved how both of those turned out. And then we we actually had a different idea for the photo shoot. We were actually going to shoot it at a place that we got there and realized it didn't really exist. It was going to be like a butterfly sanctuary type thing, or if at least it didn't exist, it wasn't the best place to shoot. So we went to a park actually nearby. We kind of pivoted and went to a park and did a nature walk with the model was a first time model, and she looked really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was ended up being a fun day. It was when it was somewhat warm but not hot, and it was just like a perfect day for a nature walk, which I think all
Nice.
of us here love to do anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I had
hope
fun
you
doing
enjoy.
a couple of illustrations of the cover.
Yeah.
If you look closely, you'll see a dragonfly and a butterfly and a bee. I had fun with.
Yep. Bugs for Andy. So yeah, and we've got some more really fun patterns coming up. We already talked about the tweed, cool tweed fall. We've got more cool tweed fall patterns coming up, and it's gonna be fun. We also, in a couple of weeks, just to mark it on your calendar, we're going to be starting our 12 weeks of gifting. This is, if you're new to the podcast and new to Knitpicks, this is 12 weeks of free patterns. We start them off is like the largest ones first. We try to do that where you have enough time to finish before Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. And then as the weeks go on, we get progressively quicker, simpler until the final one, which should theoretically take maybe a couple hours to knit. If you have that last minute gift, you've got to get together. So
maybe more than a couple hours, but like a day.
Yeah. Depending on your how fast. You're just saying that because you knit the last pattern. So
Yeah, it's probably going to take it more than a couple hours, but yeah, it's really fun. Be sure to be subscribed to our email list, our newsletter, to get emails about each pattern as they come out every week. And social media is probably going to post them too, but it might not be like immediately the day they come out. So that's the best way.
Yeah. It's always fun. We really enjoy it every year. We started, I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago. So it's been an ongoing thing. So
there have been a few years where we've done kind of re-releases of existing patterns. And we've taken patterns that weren't previously free and then made them free. But this year is again, all brand new patterns. That's fun.
And they will be free forever. So so stay tuned. So I think that's kind of wraps up all of the new stuff.
Yeah, and we'll be back on our twice a month schedule. So again, if we forgot anything that's coming out, like today, the day you're listening to this, when a bunch of new stuff comes out, we will talk about it next time. Be plenty of time to catch up on everything.
Yeah, we have so much stuff.
And we'll probably get a little bit into our upcoming knit along in the next episode.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
This podcast was originally created by Kelly Petkin.
It is produced and hosted by me, Lee Meredith, and Stacey Winkleblack.
Produced by Andy Satterlin with additional production and editing by Chase Ryan.
We recorded this episode in the Pacific Northwest, where we're excited about #CoolTweedFall.
From everyone here at Knitpicks, thank you for joining us.
Views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual participants. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions or views of the Crafts Group LLC or Premier Needle Arts.
All the yarn, tools, and pattern mentioned in this episode, along with all the inspiration a knitter could need, can be found on our website at knitpicks.com.
If you'd like to be on our podcast, leave us a voicemail. We'll be checking it regularly and using your calls in later episodes. To leave a voicemail, call 360-334-4847 and record your message. You can also record a voice memo on your phone and email us the audio file at podcast@knitpicks.com.
Like and follow us on your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube at Knitpicks.
Rate and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
Until next time, happy crafting! We had all the tweeds, all the
the
time.
We're pausing.
Who has the Crow War outside?
Oh, it's me. They like to here. I'll close the window. I was kind of putting off. Sorry. They like to they hang out by us because I give them seeds. So yeah, they're having a war. So I'll close the window